There has been so much rumour and gossip dominating the Doctor Who news cycle recently that it's been easy to forget that the Easter special Legend of the Sea Devils is fast approaching. And while you'd usually expect a trailer to have been released a lot earlier than now, the BBC have only just released it into the wild. Though not quite as impressive as the main trailer that preceded Series 13 Flux, this Legend of the Sea Devils trailer still hits the mark, despite only being a minute long. It gives us plenty of pirates, swashbuckling, some blockbuster level special effects, and a few good glimpses at that fantastic Sea Devil redesign. Seriously, they look amazing. Fezzes off to everyone involved. But there's quite a lot to unpack, so let's pick out some of the most interesting talking points and break them down. With that in mind then, I'm Ellie with Who Culture with a breakdown of the Doctor Who Legend of the Sea Devils trailer. Before we dive too deep into the actual trailer though, there is one thing that is worth mentioning too, and that is the new promo images. So along with the trailer, the BBC also released some new stills from the episode on the official Doctor Who Twitter account. Most of them are similar to shots in the actual trailer and there isn't much to comment on, but there is one particular image where Madam Ching is holding Dan and Yaz at sword point while the Doctor anxiously looks at her sonic screwdriver and a corpse lays in the background, which is fairly interesting. Whether this is a conflict that opens the episode or brings it to a close, what it does do is confirm that the entire episode won't take place at sea, which should make Legends of the Sea Devils feel much grander in scope, unlike the previous special Eve of the Daleks. Eve of the Daleks attempted to use tight COVID restrictions to its advantage by employing a time loop in a single environment, and though certainly an admirable effort, the episode still felt quite cheap and unremarkable. But based on the images and footage that we've seen so far, Legend of the Sea Devils seems to have avoided this problem. It feels expensive and epic, and that's hopefully how the final product will come across. The upgraded Sea Devils and the return of Carvanista. Sort of. Now, the trailer kicks off with an image that we have already seen before, but it's worth mentioning again just how stunning the Sea Devils redesign is. It stays faithful to the old look, yet it's clearly a massive upgrade, and it's hard to imagine them looking any better than this. One of the strengths of the Chibnall era is the way he has handled classic villains, from Daleks to Cybermen to the Weeping Angels. And at face value, the Sea Devils seem to be continuing that winning streak. Costume designer Ray Holman recently discussed the Sea Devils' upgraded look in an issue of SFX magazine, mentioning that they all wear armour and that their costumes contain strands of fishing net, reinforcing their oceanic aesthetic. Oh, and the Sea Devils leader is played by none other than Carvanista actor Craig Ells, bagging him his third Doctor Who role in little over a year. Now, Carvanista was one of the best things about Flux, so if Ells brings his A-game to Legend of the Sea Devils, we may well have another scene-stealing character on our hands. TARDIS on the seabed. Remember that 11th Doctor episode Cold War where the TARDIS relocates because it's surrounded by water? Well, that was the Hostile Action Displacement System, or HADS, doing its thing. But in Legend of the Sea Devils, it would seem that that system is no longer operational. This stunning shot of the TARDIS resting at the bottom of the seabed is proof of that, which is followed by another shot later in the trailer where the Doctor opens its doors, making it crystal clear that HADS is no more. This feels like it could be the opening of the episode, with the Doctor taking Yaz and Dan to take in the view of the bottom of the ocean, only to be interrupted by pirates and sea devils and a big scaly monster. But regardless of the context, there's something so wondrous about seeing the TARDIS in such an unusual location, so top marks for that. The return of the MYRKA. The sight of this enormous sea creature had Who fans speculating that this could be a returning foe, with much of the online chatter naming the MYRKA as the most likely candidate. The MYRKA, whose appearance in 1984's Warriors of the Deep is its only one to date, was a huge lumbering reptile controlled by the Silurians, the Sea Devils' land-based cousins. So there is a connection. But to be frank, the creature in the trailer looks nothing like the MYRKA. But in fairness, we don't get a very clear shot of it. And hey, as we've previously mentioned, Chibnall does have a knack for updating old villains. So perhaps this is a significantly reworked MYRKA, a pawn of the Sea Devils that can be summoned like a kraken. If this is the case, then full credit to Chris Chibnall. It's pretty ballsy to take a villain that's been considered a laughingstock and give it a modern lick of paint. The MYRKA was one of the many reasons why Michael Grade had Doctor Who cancelled in the 80s, with the former BBC One controller once appearing on comedy show Room 101, openly mocking that infamous clip of Solo attacking the MYRKA with some bizarre karate moves. Hard to disagree with Grade on this one. Other fans have jokingly mentioned the Loch Ness Monster from Classic Who or the sea creature from Thin Ice. And of course, this could be a completely new villain created specifically for Legend of the Sea Devils. All we can do is wait and see. The floating ship. Okay, how cool is this? It might not be immediately obvious from the angle of the shot, but the ship is actually floating above the water, presumably using the energy from those bluey green nodes to lift it into the air. Now with this technology, we're assuming this is the Sea Devil's ship. In motion, you can see a few Sea Devil-esque figures moving around on board, but really, who else would it belong to? Either way, this is an extremely cinematic shot. I mean, it looks like it's come straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean, which is pretty impressive stuff for our favourite little sci-fi show. Madam Ching, Pirate Queen. The trailer soon introduces us to Madam Ching, played by Crystal Yu, or as the Doctor excitedly calls her, Madam Ching, Pirate Queen. Now, Madam Ching was a real pirate leader who lived from 1775 to 1884 and is often remembered as history's most successful female pirate. Fittingly, a synopsis for Legend of the Sea Devils states that Madam Ching is searching for lost treasure when we find her, which is presumably the lost treasure of the Fleur de la Mar mentioned by the Doctor at the end of Eve of the Daleks. So perhaps the Sea Devils are the final obstacle between her and the gold. Now, the Chibnall era has done an excellent job of incorporating historical figures like Mary Seacole and Nikola Tesla into their respective episodes, teaching us a thing or two about their lives while weaving them into a crazy alien plot. And hopefully, Madam Ching will be implemented just as effectively. Dan the Panto Pirate. There isn't really much to say about this other than, what the hell, Dan? As alluded to in the trailer, it is in fact Yaz who has dressed Dan in this extravagant pirate garb, with Ray Holman stating in that aforementioned SFX interview that Yaz has dressed Dan as a pirate, but as a Caribbean pirate, so full Panto pirate. Hilariously, Holman made Dan's waistcoat by cutting up a pair of old curtains, with the intention being to make him look completely out of place. Well, I'd say mission accomplished. The world has been disrupted because of you. While there isn't much interesting dialogue in the trailer, there are two lines that are worth unpacking. The first is when Yaz tells the Doctor she's acting like a kid, and the Doctor responds with thanks. Though the tone of the line is jokey and fun, it could be hinting to some friction between the characters, particularly considering Yaz seemed rather frustrated with the Doctor in Eve of the Daleks, even yelling at her to stop leaving us all the time during one of the final time loops. We could be seeing another Martha 10 situation where the companion likes the Doctor, but the Doctor doesn't reciprocate those feelings, leading to that friction. Either way, Thasmin is bound to see some development in Legend of the Sea Devils. The other interesting line is, the world has been disrupted because of you, because of what you unleashed, which seems to be aimed at Madam Ching. The line is accompanied by a beautiful shot of the sky looking rather, well, disrupted. Sure enough, Chris Chibnall has previously stated that Ching unleashes a terrifying evil while she's hunting the treasure. But what could that evil be? The Sea Devils, the MYRKA-looking creature, or something else entirely? Another possibility could be that this is some sneaky editing. Ching might unleash some terrifying creature, but what if that line about disruption is actually aimed at the Doctor? Perhaps her actions during Flux have messed up the world in some way. It does seem like there is more going on here than a simple Sea Devils story, and considering it is Whittaker's penultimate episode, that wouldn't really be surprising. Curse of the Black Spot vibes. Now this is more of a general thing, but it's hard not to think of the 11th Doctor episode, The Curse of the Black Spot, when watching this trailer. Now this is a pretty recent episode by Doctor Who standards, and the parallels are obvious. The ship stranded in open water, the companions dressed in pirate garb and engaging in sword fights, and even the bluey-green colour of the nodes on the Sea Devil's ship is the exact same colour as the Curse of the Black Spot siren. Now, with 13 referencing the 11th Doctor era in Kablam with the Fez, and in War of the Sontarans by silencing people with shh, what are the odds that she references her previous pirate adventures in some small way? Pretty damn high if you ask me. Yaz versus Sea Devil sword fight. Now these are very quick shots in the trailer, so it is hard to work out who the Sea Devil is fighting without slowing it down, but it is definitely Yaz. And in a second shot later in the trailer, there's a close-up of Yaz's face, presumably from that same scene. But like we said, these are very quick shots, so we could be wrong. But from what we can see, the fight choreography looks top notch. And in that second shot, Yaz looks like she's in grave peril. But Mandip Gill is confirmed for the Centenary special in autumn, so it is doubtful that she'll die. Although, that being said, Legend of the Sea Devils was originally intended to be the final episode of the Whittaker-Chibnall era. It was actually the BBC who requested an extra episode. So a shock character death isn't completely off the table. And hey, dying in a one-on-one lightsaber battle with a frickin' Sea Devil? There are worse ways companions can go, as Graham and Ryan's laughable Force Ghost scene with Grace can attest to. Sea Devil voice translator. Like their visual rework, the Sea Devil's vocal rework stays faithful to the classic series whilst also being a major rework. In the classic series, the Sea Devils were capable of using human language, but this time around they seem to be using some sort of translation device worn like a necklace. The device flashes along with the Sea Devil leader's voice when he's communicating with the Doctor, much like the translation spheres used by the Ood. It does beg the question though, if the Sea Devils could speak English in the classic series, why do they need a translation device now? Well, Legend of the Sea Devils is set in the 19th century and in a much more exotic location than an English quarry, so maybe the devices are used to communicate with the pirates. I mean, when the TARDIS lands, then translation will no longer need to be an issue, but why would they remove it from their neck? Alternatively, the flashing white devices could have nothing to do with Sea Devil communication, but it does seem like a high possibility. Madam Ching boards the TARDIS. It is always entertaining when a historical figure enters the TARDIS and tries to comprehend what they're seeing, and it looks like Madam Ching will have that experience in Legend of the Sea Devils. Although, that being said, it doesn't look like there'll be much time for her to process the whole bigger on the inside thing, because the camera is shaking quite heavily during the shot, suggesting that the gang are in trouble. What kind of trouble? Well, who knows? The Beast Below. Now this is one of the speediest shots in the trailer. It only lasts 7 or 8 frames. Now it's likely that this is the same creature that we discussed earlier, because really how many sea monsters can there be in one episode? And we're betting that this is the moment that the TARDIS is violently shaken around with everyone trapped inside. I mean, MYRKA's got to eat. Alternatively, this could follow on from the shot of the TARDIS on the seabed, with the Doctor inadvertently parking it on top of the creature's head. And we all know the Doctor isn't best known for their TARDIS parking abilities. Case in point, the last time the TARDIS was eaten by a creature was during Season 8's Deep Breath, when it was swallowed whole by a T-Rex. In either case, if you actually utilised Had's Doctor, then being swallowed whole by creatures wouldn't be an issue, would it? And that concludes our breakdown. Let us know your thoughts and theories about Legend of the Sea Devils in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.